Welcome back to another episode of the Square State Sandlot podcast. We've got Kyle Gilmore joining me and our special guest, Travis Blackley, a former Major League pitcher. Excited to have you on, especially to rehash the 2012 season in Oakland. Travis, thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of this. We appreciate you. And with that being said, is there anything that you wanted to plug before we get started?
No, not really. Maybe the Beanley Hawks going to win the championship this year. This is the team I play for now, just hanging out and having a bit of fun. So, yeah, big winners on the weekend, 27-3.
27-3.
Oh, yeah, we
gave up a field goal.
It was a boat race.
That's impressive. Yeah. All right, well, like I said, thank you for joining us. We've got some questions that we have queued up, and some of them came from some of our followers. So at least, I guess you alluded to, you're still playing some baseball. I know you officially retired, I think it was early last year, but what are you doing to stay busy in your off time?
Wow. Honestly, no, it's pretty tough here. Australia was pretty crazy when the whole mandate stuff came out, and so not much work going around. And I pretty much started doing pitching lessons a year and a half ago with 12 to 15-year-old kids, and
nice.
It's really taken off. Like, I've seen some really good results with some of my lads, and I even got a couple of girls in there too that do really well. But yeah, like, I've been enjoying that. I've been getting a lot of it's been pretty fulfilling to see these kids fall in love with the game. They go from kind of just thinking about baseball when their game was coming up, rather than now they're like eat, breathe, sleep, baseball. They just can't get enough of it. And watching that happen is so cool, because, I don't remember when that happened to me, but I do remember, like, going from not really being that interested to being nothing but baseball for a long time, but I can't remember when. But yeah, it's cool to see. So I got one young fella that's 12, and he's running it up to 71 miles an hour. So
man,
that's pretty good off. That's pretty good off 48 feet. But yeah, no, it's fun. I mean, not much else. I'm playing once a week, with this team here, and I'm just hitting. I'm not pitching. I've retired from pitching. Now I'm having fun with the stick. But that's about it. Maybe try and go fishing when I can and play a bit of golf. But, my family's in America and I can't come back there yet. So I've got a lot of downtime. Maybe even do some streaming if my internet cooperates.
Yeah. Well, I noticed, I think it was probably more than a year ago that you were pretty heavy into Twitch, and I haven't seen you much on there since. But I know you were doing the Call of Duty stuff pretty heavy. Is that kind of what you preferred to play?
I was always into shooters, I wasn't into sporting games, just because I play sport, and what do I want to play more sport when I get home from the field? But I'm not going to lie, my buddy is like a really big streamer in the baseball world with the MLB The Show. Like, I think he's the most subscribed to guy. His name's Major Mangoes. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know of him? Yeah, he's like one of my best mates. He lives not far away from me, and I actually
lived
with him for a minute. He's the one who's trying to get me into it more with MLB The Show. So I went and I hooked up with the game. I'd never played it before. And where I'm living right now at another mate's house in his spare room, because I didn't want to get a lease because I might be going back to America at any moment. I didn't want to sign a year-long lease, and so my mates hooking me up with a place to live. But the internet here is absolutely garbage. Like, I'm lucky we can talk right now, because it's just skip. It's impossible to stream. So once I get in a good spot, I'm going to be streaming MLB The Show and trying to get that Diamond Dynasty team up into the thousands.
Well,
nice.
Whenever you do, let me know, and I can be your test dummy, because I play it when I can. But you saw my 3 kids beforehand. They take up a lot of my time, so I don't get to play like I used to. But I used to be heavy into MLB The Show.
Yeah. No, I'm not that great at it. I'm really good at the pitching. I don't know what it is.
I can imagine.
Well, I don't know. It's just like I pitch like a pitcher, but then I understand that the computer's probably set up, and people probably can cheat like that. So I like to throw a spanner in the works every now and again and do something a little different. pitches that you wouldn't throw, off speed up in the zone. Like
Yeah,
that kind of thing really screws people up. I don't know why, but
it does.
hitting, I'm not really that good at. Although my Road to the Show character is going off. He's got like 74 homers. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
See, I always do the speed builds because speed kills, speed never slumps. But you can't hit any dongs, and that's what the chicks dig. So my character's a lonely little guy in the game, but it's fine.
Oh man,
I went with the duel. I went with the Otani-esque right field pitcher. I found out later that I was silly for making him 6'5". Like the strike zone's huge.
Yeah,
big time.
Sometimes at some fields in the daytime you can't see the top line because it's so bright, and you just don't have no idea where the top of the zone is.
Yeah,
so
not a good batter's eye out there.
So I'm going to make another one, and his name is a bit funny. I couldn't use it on Twitch. One of them funny ones that when you say it fast, it sounds like something else.
Well, let's hear it.
I made it into his full name. So his real name's Michael Hunt, but if
there you go. Fair enough. No, that's good. That's perfect. So they won't let you put that on the live ones, yeah?
Well, I wouldn't do it anyway. And I'm gonna make. My buddy told me you got to make a switch hitting shortstop that's like 6 foot tall, and give him speed and power. You got to make like a Lindor style player, and then once you get him to 99, it's like. People pull their hair out trying to get him out. So
mine's more of the Tony Kemp build. The speed guy. Yes, speed guy, short, and not a lot of pop, but enough to get a couple doubles here and there.
Man, I still can't even steal a base. I mean, I've stolen a couple before, but
I'm awful at it.
You know what I can't do?
Try.
You know what I can't do? I can't throw anybody out. When somebody steals on me, I'm never on time, and I don't understand why.
It's so dumb.
It is. And
the controls used to be like you do the meter to throw to the base, and then you hit X or I guess A if you're on Xbox now. But now if you hit X, it just cancels the throw.
It's silly. And base running is the worst. I've literally wanted to throw my controller against the wall on some of these. Like I'm not even touching it, and I've gone and pushed like maybe a button to go to the next pitch, and it starts running me to the next base, and I get thrown. And I'm like, what? Come on, man.
Yeah. No, it is definitely frustrating. And I saw a reel on Instagram the other day making fun of the running on MLB The Show. I forgot to share it though, but it was hilarious. But let's get back to kind of what you're doing. And so you said you're mentoring these pitchers that are coming up. Is it still kind of a smaller game there in Australia? Or I know you were only like the 18th professional MLB player from Australia. Is that right?
Yeah. No, it's still pretty small. But it's small, but it's grown a lot since I was, a junior. Like when I say grown, the numbers aren't so much more than what I was a kid, overall, but the standard has gone up. Like I just watched there's under 12 Little League kids that are trying to one day, or they're trying to get to the Little League World Series. They're going through the Australian route. The winner of that will all get to go over to, Williamsport?
Yeah.
So, and that one of them boys that I told you about that throws hard earlier, he's in the team. He's in one of the teams. I've got about 4 or 5 kids on their team, and I go, like last night, I had to drive an hour and a half north to where their team is, and I trained every pitcher on their team, like 8 or 9 of them over 3 hours, and, really trying to get them ready because their Australian Championship's coming up in June, and the winner of that will go to Williamsport. So hopefully you see my kids out there pitching, and I can't take credit for the bombs they're going to hit because, but I can take credit for their pitching because this kid is, or there's not just one, there's a few, but one of them is over 70, up to 71, 72 mile an hour, which is just insane. When I was a kid, I literally couldn't even hit water if I fell out of a boat, and these kids are polished throwing strikes at 71,
Yeah.
So, wow. And I got another boy that's like almost 6 foot tall at 12 years old, throwing 67 with heavy sink. Like it's crazy.
That is insane.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine trying to hit this stuff because the reaction time required over 48 feet is like facing 99 of 60 feet. Like, it's just insane. These kids can't sniff it.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, you know, American kids will be able to sniff it. They see that probably, you know, every month. They probably don't see it every week, but, you know, the top teams would have seen that kind of speed. And that's what I tell him, you know, like, hey, you're going to need more than just a heater when you get to America. You know, These kids have been playing since they were 4. And he is actually half American. His old man is American from San Diego and like played college football and like big, strong dude. So, yeah, it's pretty cool to see his son going off like that.
That is awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, even in Wyoming, we didn't have there's only 500,000 people in the state, and we had a couple kids that were throwing 90s when I was in high school. So it's not too uncommon to see kids with, you know, even off-speed pitches in America. But I'm excited to see your kids come through and hopefully they make it into the
I hope they make
Little League
it.
World Series. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I hope they do too. Although Sydney apparently has some good teams too, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I personally think we need to like make our areas bigger because the 2 finalists from our state, if you were to combine the teams, then I think they'd have a team good enough to come over and actually give the US teams or the other international teams a real run.
Yeah.
You know, in the past, we had that a few years ago. That one lefty that hit the homer against Mexico, and he threw 6 or 5 2/3 innings shutout baseball against Mexico, and he ran out of pitches. So they're winning 2-0, and he had to come out of the game, and then they lost 3-2. The next kid after him couldn't get an out, and they lost 3-2. That boy just signed with Oregon State. He's old enough now. He just signed with Oregon State, and he's a good young lefty pitcher and hitter. He's still two-way. So I feel like if you could make your team with all the best kids actually from this area, instead of making it from just, I mean, the area they're drawing from might be 25 miles in radius. Like,
oh, wow.
It's pretty insane. And they come from 3 clubs, 3 club ball teams around Australia when there's about 15 in the state of, or in the city of Brisbane / Gold Coast area, 15 or maybe even 20. They're pulling from like 3 or 4 clubs.
Yeah.
So if you could just make it more like a region team rather than an area team, I think we'd have a much better crack at it. But yeah.
And is that where you're at right now? Is the Brisbane area?
I'm actually in a place called Hope Island. It's right north of the Gold Coast.
Okay.
It's probably like a 40-minute drive to Brisbane.
Okay. So pretty close.
And these boys are about 35, 40 minutes north of Brisbane, called Redcliffe. Yeah.
And I know things were pretty crazy not too long ago, but is it starting to open up a little more there? Or
Yeah. With the mandates have all gone. You know, people are.
So you can go out in your own yard as long as you want?
Yeah. Well, Victoria is still a clown show. They're still run by an idiot down there, but you know, he's still trying to push that stuff when the rest of the world's opening up. Although America isn't exactly open at the moment. I mean.
Well, depends on what state you're in.
I can't get into America right now. I can't get in without showing certain things. So that's a bit weird. But we're considering. When I look at America, I think of the one country of the world that's, you know, the freest. You know, we're not free here. It's a socialist country. It's not. You know, you can't say what you want here. You know what I mean? Whereas there in America, you can, and you know, obviously you can own guns if that's your thing. Here, no, you can't.
Yeah.
So it's different, man. I spent most of my adult life in America, so I hate it here. Like I just, you know, my Aussie mates can't believe it when I say that, but
no, I know that's shocking.
I want to get out of Australia so bad, and I just can't.
Well, I'm sure someday soon, and obviously I'm cheering for you. I hope you get over as soon as you can because. As you're over there, your kids are growing up here, so that's got to be pretty rough. Yeah. But no, I'm hopeful that happens sooner than later. And obviously, whenever that does happen, you guys can be rejoined, and hopefully that'll be the best day of your life. I'm sure it will be.
Oh yeah, can't wait.
And speaking on Australian baseball, you played on the World Baseball Classic teams for Team Australia. How many times did you do that, and when was the last time?
So I did it twice. I would have been on it a third time, but the first time the WBC came around, I was recovering from surgery with the Mariners. It was 2006. I'd had all of '05 off with a shoulder surgery, and this was my first spring training. I was back to throwing, but the Mariners wanted to make sure I didn't, go off and do something crazy with the Aussie team and hurt myself again. So I got held back from that team. '09 was a blast. We went to Mexico City. We smashed Mexico in game one. We scored. We 10-run ruled Mexico off Oliver Perez. I'm like, totally unexpected. We just absolutely boat raced them. And then we lost to Cuba in a heartbreaker in the ninth inning. Like, we're winning the game and we lost in the last inning. We would have been in the second round. And then we kind of used all of our weapons in those two games and kind of ran out of pitching in the last game. And we had to play Mexico again. Weirdly, we didn't get to play the weakest team in our bracket, which was South Africa. The other teams got to play them twice, but we didn't. And we got screwed. Weird. We had to play Mexico twice, which they're deep as, right? How are you going to? So we ended up missing out, and I thought that was the biggest shafting ever because, Cuba and Mexico. Well, Cuba got to play South Africa twice. Mexico got to play Australia twice and not even play Cuba.
That is pretty strange.
And then we get to play Mexico twice and Cuba as the other one. So we kind of got rolled on that one. And then we missed out again in 2000. We didn't even get qualify, I believe, in 2000 and whatever the next one was, 13 maybe? No. When was the one after that? So we're 2009, so it would have been 2012, right? Or 2013?
I think they do it on odds, so yeah, I think it would have been 13.
I don't think we even qualified for that one. I think when they did the qualifier, most of our Aussie players were already playing in season and we couldn't get away. Yeah. I just remember we missed out on that and the Olympics in the same kind of time. But yeah, anyway, and then we got back in the next one and we again almost got through again. We lost. We had Japan, who we lost to 4-1, even though we were winning all game until the sixth. And then we crushed China. I had to pitch against China, and it was not even. I don't know. They were not good, but I felt like I was wasted in that game. But we had to win, and we didn't know who we were playing. We didn't have a scouting. We had who they have, Joey Wong and someone else that was actually American. The rest were Chinese. Like the other one was, I don't remember who it was, but I remember Joey Wong. I'm pretty sure was on that team. I'd faced another kid that was with the Angels in AAA. I faced him in AAA, but I don't remember his name. But they had nothing, man, and I feel like I was wasted. I didn't even throw my full pitch count because if we had won the game 3, I would have had to start on short rest against Israel in the next round. But we ended up losing. So we're playing Cuba again, late inning again. We're in the 7th or 6th or 7th inning, loaded bases with young. All right, so the Orioles have a guy named Alex Wells, a lefty pitcher. Mm-hmm. His twin brother is named Lachlan Wells. He's with the Minnesota Twins, or he used to be. I can't remember, but he was in the game. He was a stud. He throws really well. But this matchup required the best pitcher we had. Loaded bases. Their number 4 hole hitter, Despaigne, like he's unreal. And it's lefty versus righty, and we got a bona fide major league arm in the bullpen ready to come in the game. Like Pete Moylan, sidearm or 2, gives up no homers. Anyway, some reason we let the kid ride, and he even made a good pitch. But it was a 3-2 fastball down and in, and he located it beautifully. Like, at least he didn't serve up a cookie. I can give him that. But this dude's a pro, man. This guy is one of Cuba's best hitters for 20 years. He's old. He's been around. He knows his shit, and he just hit an absolute nuke. Like, not even a freaking moonshot. We're talking under 30 degrees, bro, and hit the back ball. Like, I've never seen a ball smoke so hard or make such a loud noise.
One of those Cespedes specials, huh?
Dude, exactly.
Yeah.
And off the bat, I was so mad because that was like the 4th time in my life Cuba has gotten over us late in the game. Second time in a World Baseball Classic. Yeah. Where we have them against the ropes every time. But when we play them in a World Cup that isn't that big, or a regular game that isn't a final, we've managed to beat them a few times. We're not scared of Cuba. They're not the powerhouse that they were. I mean, when I pitched against them in 2009, they were stacked. I pitched against Aroldis Chapman. He was starting. And then Cespedes was in that, Gurriel, both of them. You had
Jesus.
Espana, you had Alexi Ramirez, you had it was disgusting. They had a
Yeah, no, those guys are all stars. Was Cespedes' little brother in there as well, or was he too young at that point?
I don't think Lourdes. No, the Guriel was in there. Sorry, Guriel and Cespedes. But
Yeah.
Cespedes' little brother wasn't in there. No.
Yeah, I think he must have been like 16 back then, so probably wasn't old enough to make the team. But
yeah, no, they were stacked, man. It was and pitching in Mexico City, which is like 8,000 feet in the air. It's way higher than Denver. It's an AstroTurf field. Not the one now. The old one was like the Estadio del Sol, I believe it was called.
Yeah,
but it was a freaking launching pad, man. It was crazy, and the fact that I just was able to keep him in the yard. I mean, it took me thumbing them to death. I mean, they're a great fastball hitting team, and I had to use my fastball more as like an elusive pitch, not throw it as much, sink it, cut it, nibble with it, and then use my off speed for the actual strikes. You know what I mean? And that was the game plan going in. Ended up doing a number on him, and I gave up one run on Cespe, jammed one over second base with 2 out and got a run in. But he also killed my win because the minute I came out, the first guy we brought in after me, another ex-big leaguer, first pitch he threw against Cespedes hit a home run, tied the game. So, but then we took the lead again by 2, and then they crept back and walked us off in the last. Or took the lead in the bottom of the 9th, and then we held us off. So, the heartbreak. Did
you ever rib him about that when he was on team with you?
No, I mean, he definitely remembers, we spoke about that a lot. Well, we didn't speak about it a lot, but we spoke about a few occasions because I just had to remind him, hey, man, you never actually barreled me up very well, bro.
Yeah. I love one of those cheap singles over second base. Come on, man.
And a punchy I got into. He's in the book.
Oh, there you go.
So I let him. Alexi Ramirez from the White Sox. We played way back in a junior World Cup, and our teams had a massive brawl. And like a big brawl, like in Edmonton, Canada, in 2000. You could probably even look it up, right? We had it was like 15 minutes. No one could break it up because they're in-ground dugouts, and you see them swinging bats over the top of the dugout at us. It was crazy. But they had we put 7 of their dudes in hospital. Like we had a massive rugby team. We had a big boys, and they love a fight. And their Cubans were not ready, man. I'm telling you, for the size and strength of these boys that we had. Not me. I wasn't a big guy. My other boys on my team were massive, and it was the best thing for them because all 7 of those dudes defected.
Yeah,
so they kind of gave him a little way out. But I believe Alexi was in that group.
Was he?
I mean, that's what I'm understanding. I can't 100% confirm it, but from what we were talking about, I believe that's how he got out of there.
That's crazy.
He's in the under-19 tournament in Edmonton, Canada.
Well, wow. And the funniest part about that is, when they get up to the major leagues and they have those brawls, I don't think anyone actually wants to fight because they don't want to risk getting hurt. But hearing that you guys actually had 7 guys in the hospital, that's pretty crazy.
We had one. He got his thumb broken because a dude tried to smash him with the bat, and he put his hand out to block it, and it broke his thumb. But
that'll do it.
You couldn't swing a bat in this dugout. Everyone was like a mosh pit in there, It was
because it was in Canada. It was everybody thought it was hockey. I love it.
We had to play them the next day for bronze medal, which we were still thinking about fighting them, and we didn't play well.
You guys lost with 7 guys out?
Yeah, no. Well, they would have had a 25-man roster, but yeah, I mean,
okay. All right.
Yeah, we'd also blown. The day before we played South Korea to get in the gold medal game, we lost. I started that game against Sin-Soo Choo. So Sin-Soo Choo and I were pitching against each other. That's how I got seen by the Mariners. The scout was there watching him, and then I was pitching against him, and I toe-to-toed him for 7 innings, same exact stat line. Probably less pitches even, and he's like, "Who's this kid? He can pitch." He's only 87, 88, whereas Sin-Soo Choo was like 95 to 98.
Yeah,
lefty with everything. But I was able to hold possibly a more potent offense down than he had to. So, I got signed by the same guy, Jim Colborne, who's known for signing quite a few big name guys. I think he even had something to do with signing Ichiro. So,
Well, and I meant to ask you earlier how hard it was to get seen when you were out in Australia, because I can't imagine at least back then, they probably weren't sending too many scouts out there.
Yeah, they were sending, there were scouts around for sure. Like I was a really late bloomer, man. I came on out of nowhere. I'd never made a rep team or state team or nothing. Like I was always that kid that got the letter in the mail that said, sorry, man, you didn't make it. Like better luck next year. And I got to the very last year of eligibility when I was 17, and I was actually just before I turned 17, but I had to be under 18 team. So, and I made that team, I think, as like the last pitcher that could, because I was kind of I played outfield, first base, and I could pitch. So I think I made the team strictly on the fact that I could do all three of those things, decent. But I wasn't like a starting guy or nothing. And I went away on that tournament. And I don't think they realized what they had until they put me into a game against a Sydney's version, like New South Wales. Us and them were kind of the two strongest teams, and we were getting pumped by them in the first game. So they, instead of burning one of their good pitches, they put me in, and then I showed them what I could do. And I shut them out the rest of the game. We didn't win the game, but I showed them what I could do. And then they started me the next time against, at the time, the third best team, and I gave up one hit in 7 innings. So next thing I know, I'm starting the final against the same team I just faced earlier and beat them again. So then the Australian team came along 3 months later. I was on that. And then, we traveled through Canada. We had to still cut 3 guys before the tournament, right? We took 3 extras with us. And even though I didn't give up a run the whole time we were away in like 5 starts, I still wasn't thinking I was on the team because I'd never really made any teams before. I was still used to getting shut down, and we had to get called into this room. I remember it like crazy because, they were calling us in individually to see if we made the team or not.
Yeah.
And I'm like shitting bricks, man. I'm packing it. And even though I had no reason to be, when I look back, I'm silly. I just should have used my head. I was crushing it. I was easy on the team. But, not only did I make the team, but I was starting against good old Cuba again, and who at the time were the number 1 team in the world. And we had yet to beat them in the juniors at that stage. And I went out there and gave him a good old flogging, mate, good old toweling. So yeah, it was nice. We won the game for the first time we ever been, and we actually went through the first round of that World Cup undefeated. We went through everybody. We beat every country we faced, and then the only game we lost was that Korea game, getting in the gold medal. And then we doubled up with another loss against, we ended up 4th, but really good showing for the 2000 Australian team. I think we had about 7 guys off that sign, and I think 4 or 5 get to the big leagues. So, which is crazy. Out of 36,
awesome.
36 Australians, you're getting 4 or 5 coming off the same year level. Like, yeah, I think Justin Huber, Trent Olgin, Ryan Roland Smith. Who else was on that team? I think we had another one that made it too. It's kind of escaping me right now, but yeah, it's crazy.
That's super cool. And you spoke on being on Team Australia. Was that a difficult conversation with the teams, or were they pretty understanding with you wanting your MLB teams wanting to go play for Team Australia?
I never got the chance. I think my agent did the question asking when it came to that. Like when I went in that 09 one, I know for a fact after the fact that the Diamondbacks did not want me to go and play in that. Even though they're supposed to let me go because that's the WBC, they dropped me down from big league camp as soon as I got back. Like I didn't even, and I just beat Cuba, or I just threw the shit out of it against Cuba. Like that's if you want to find a team as close to a major league team as you can, Team Cuba was it back then.
Yep.
How are you sending me down in the minor leagues after that? Like that was more, and then I never even got a sniff. So I don't like the Diamondbacks very much.
Yeah.
Touche.
I feel like the way I feel about teams is how the teams I played for, how they treated me, like while I was there, is how I feel about them now. So I'm still a Mariner fan, even though they're in a division with the A's. I really love the Mariners, right? I'm always going to. They were my original team when I was coming up. I was a big Ken Griffey guy. He was all over my wall. Randy Johnson.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean he couldn't. But
the kid.
I became an A's fan once I became an A.
Yep.
It's like
Well,
I love the style of game they play. I love, even though it's like not, I just love the grittiness and the hard nosed style and the overachieving. It's very Team Australia for me, and the
yeah.
same colors as Team Australia. Their fans, like no fans hardly from other teams ever reached out to me. Well, I wasn't given a great opportunity with every other club I played for, but I was given a really good opportunity by the A's, so that obviously helped that I felt that way. Fans really accepted me really well. Like I'd never had that kind of interaction with fans because I was never like the kind of guy that people would buy the jersey for. I'm not a star. I'm just me, and so they kind of treated me more like I was a bit of a star at times. Whenever I had a good game, they let me know, and I started to believe that I could play at that level more as an A. Before that, I don't think I had the belief in myself until the A's fans really like helped me believe.
Yeah.
So, and I still remember we'll probably touch on this game 161, but if you remember the game I had before game 161, if I did
Yes. It
the
was a
two
little
games,
rough.
it wasn't even that bad if you really look at the pitches I made and how that I kind of got screwed. I gave up a leadoff homer, but whatever. This is a potent offense, and it was the fifth time I'd faced them for the year. Like
Yep.
they knew what I had.
Right.
I wasn't a whole 100% on, and then I make really good 3-2 down and away fastball to Napoli, who hits a freaking second row of seats in right field on a line drive,
Yeah.
like for a grand slam, and that's my 1 inning, 5 runs. And so I got taken out of the game, no chance to kind of make that feel a little better. But, the fact that Bob, and I was hearing all the questions from the media,
Yep.
in those weeks, like, what are you going to do if you get to game 161 and you have a chance to tie the Rangers? Are you still going to stick with Blackley? That's the kind of shit they're asking him. And he's
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
listen, yes, we're going to stick with him. He's been our guy. He's been our guy all year. And when he's come up when we needed him to, and that was huge that he was spoken like that, because I heard that stuff. I wouldn't let anyone at the time know I was listening to it, but
No, and
we,
that's
yeah,
one of those things that I saw when I was going through your pictures. I didn't even remember that game off the top of my head, but I saw that you put out a post that basically said, A's fans, I feel as bad about this game as you guys do. I'm going to come out better. And you did. And speaking to A's fans, I mean, I don't think there's any better fans in Major League Baseball than A's fans. And obviously, I'm a little biased because I've been one my whole life. But no, I think the way that you interacted with the A's fans was why you were endeared to us. But you also embodied that grittiness that the team exhibits year to year.
yeah.
You
And
came
they're
in
doing
as
it.
you came in as a long reliever, right, to the A's, and that's the
Yeah.
role you were kind of promised, and then
Well,
had to step up.
I wouldn't say promised. Like when I came over from the Giants, it was kind of like a move. I think the A's were just trying to get depth in AAA. Like
Yeah,
I was told by Bob when I got there, like, hey man, enjoy this 2 weeks and see what you can do. Because
yeah,
you gave me a flat out truth. He said, you ain't on this team yet. Like you got to earn your spot. I mean, right now it's, they just did this with right before me. They had Luke Hughes and Rich Thompson, both those Australian kids, and they were up for 2 weeks each and both got sent down because they picked them off waivers and like to bolster their stocks. And like, so I'd already been up and down twice, and it had been a long time since I'd been back, and I was just sick of being that like middle of the road, like 4A player. And I just said, right, I'm not going to, and I remember being scared in some of these moments earlier in my career, not of the actual pitching, but of like just the moment. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I was too immature to come up when I did. But this time I was 29, and this time I wasn't ready to, I'd just come through AAA. And I mean, when I say boat raced, I never smoked AAA hitters as badly as I did that year. Like small sample size, but I think I had a 0.3 ERA. Like I was actually ridiculous that year.
yeah,
And I was like, this ain't no different, man. The Giants my role with the Giants was being Tim Lincecum's backpack. Like I was, every time he got in trouble, I had to warm up. Some games I'm warming up 4 times before I come in, because he was shaky that year, getting, in trouble every inning, and I'm up every inning, and I'm 60 pitches deep before I actually toe the rubber on the field.
yeah,
So when I come over to the A's, my first outing, I get to face the Giants, and I actually have to come in loaded bases and bail Balfour out of a jam. And I
yeah,
struck out Belt to get out of the inning, right? and then threw another 0 up on top of it. And then the next game, I'm pitching against the Angels after I believe Graham Godfrey got slapped around, for like maybe 7 runs or something in 2 innings. So they've used me more like a long guy.
Yep.
And did really well, no runs. And yeah, then Graham, I guess, got sent down, and I replaced him in the rotation in Minnesota and did really well and held pretty much the starting job all year. When a bigger name guy came off the DL, I got shipped back to the bullpen no matter how good I was pitching. It was a little annoying because I went on a really good streak there in like July where I think I beat like Darvish in Texas and I beat some big name players, man. Like, and toe-to-toe Kershaw, 8 innings each, 1 run each, and then Sespe hit a walk-off grand slam that game. Like,
yep.
It was like I was pitching out of my head. But I was starting to believe, and we were getting on a run. Our A's were starting to we swept the Yankees at home. We swept some teams that just, we started opening eyes, and then we all started believing. A lot of guys overperformed that year. What happened with guys like Moss and even Reddick? You could dare say Reddick kind of never had as good a year as he did that year.
Yeah. I mean, he played out of his mind on defense and hit the shit out of the ball too. So
30 tanks,
yeah.
and he hit like for the high 200s average. Like,
yep.
He was unreal that year. And I feel like every year he kind of just down a little bit more. Still a really good player, but and it's expectable. The other teams, they get all this info on you. They understand. They figure out how to get you out. So to combat that, you've got to continually evolve. And so I understand why, but he's still a great player. But yeah, that was a
that
crazy
team.
Yeah, crazy year. It was the most fun I've ever had playing baseball. Absolutely.
Well, and I think you spoke to the turning point in the season. I mean, you guys swept the Yankees 4 games to none at their house, and I think that was the start of the streak. And I mean, everything just went up from there.
It was at home. It was at home.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember. Yeah, because when we went to there later in the year, I had a game there. We didn't lose. I think we lost one of those games. But yeah, that was nuts. But anyway, that game went horrible, and so on Twitter, I was getting absolutely lit up by fans. Like, they were obviously frustrated because we're so close to getting to this playoffs, and
yep.
Maybe took some frustration out on me. But I mean, I'd never been bashed on Twitter like I'd been bashed there. Like, all these people who were loving me forever, or for the last 6 months or 4 months or so, all of a sudden are just like absolutely like saying some horrible things. Like, the internet's horrible, but.
Yes,
and I just felt like, I mean, this was literally, I'm on the bike with ice on my arm, riding the bike in the club room, seeing all this shit come up on my phone, like, and I just wrote on the notes section a letter to the fans because, like, little do they know that this was the biggest moment in my life. This is what I've been chasing my whole life, so I wanted as much as them, and I think that brought out a little bit like that. Like, I started getting apologies from these people, like, for being rude, like being super mean. And like, I can handle getting shit talked. Like, don't get me wrong.
For sure.
But, like, going into the next game, I needed a good headspace, and I wanted to let the fans know that I'm not slacking here. I'm still working my absolute ass off, trying to be the best I can, trying to give you guys the best, our team the best chance to win, and you guys the best product to watch. And so. Yeah, I think that gets forgotten about, that we are human and that, it's not easy.
Oh, definitely.
Especially when, like, all right, massive name guys, they've kind of even harder. I can imagine being like a Mike Trout, the expectation every game, like, he's allowed to mess up.
Oh, for sure.
But for the no-name guys like me, the guy, that's like, I think, even more crazy because we're closer to the average person than those superstars. I never made the big money. I need to work the rest of my life still. I ain't set for no lifetime. It's just, it's crazy to think, like, back then, even though you're up and living that lifestyle, which I'll never get to live again, but it was just so nuts. And so, that letter helped. And then the next week, obviously, I bounced back, and cool story to go right before I walk out for game 161. Grant Balfour stops me at the top of the steps before you walk down. He grabs me by the shoulders. He kind of shakes me as he says this, and he yells. He doesn't yell it, but he speaks pretty firmly. Can I swear?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let it rip.
Because I know not a thing that comes out of Balf's mouth is not a swear word, so have at it.
No, but it stuck with me. I'll never forget this because, Balfour was one of my idols looking up as an Australian that did it before me.
Yep.
I was, as a young rookie ball or like a low A guy, single A, double A guy, I'm looking at what he's doing and going, he's paving the way. He's showing me that I can do it. So anyway, I get there and he hits him and he goes, show him your fucking balls. Show him how big your fucking balls are. Like just... But the way he said it, man, like it gave me chills hearing it, man. I gave me goosebumps hearing it. And I mean, I went out there and I think I was warming up in the low 90s. Like I was absolutely jacked up after that. Like he got me so fired up, I had to calm myself down. And obviously getting through the first inning and striking at Hamilton and hearing the roar. I've never heard of a crowd like that. Like you remember the stadium, but right at that time of year where they basically need to take the shit off the seats up top.
The tarps. Yep.
Dude, you couldn't even hear the announcer. You couldn't even hear the names of who was coming up to hit. Like it was so insane. And yeah, best time of life.
Yeah, whatever that noise is in the Coliseum during playoff time, if you could just shoot that shit directly into my veins, oh my God, that place is electric when it's playoff baseball.
Who needs heroin, mate? You just get that.
Exactly. It's probably a little less deadly too. So
yeah, maybe.
But no, that's one thing I'm going to miss about the Coliseum whenever the team does move. But it is, yeah. I mean, you can say what you want to say about the stands and all that stuff. It's obviously not the state-of-the-art facility, but the crowd that packs in there is absolutely electric when it's playoff baseball. So I'm glad to hear you say that. And I did want to ask you about Balfour, so I don't know if you want to just go straight into him. I mean, you said you looked up to him. How was playing with him? He seemed like he was always just a missed strike away from losing it.
Yeah, listen, man. You ever heard of the term white line fever?
Mm.
You got to have it. Like, I got it too. I'm a different cat. Like, people call me an aggressive pitcher, man, but he is different. He needs to be redlining to be at his best. So when he's not feeling that way, at least this is how I interpret it. I've never actually asked him why, but this is what I interpret. He excels when he's on the edge of like losing his shit.
Yep.
So when he didn't feel like it, he had to scream and yell obscenities to get his heart rate fired up enough to release dopamine and to get psycho. He needed to do that to become his best. Whereas I couldn't do that. I'm not that style of pitcher. Even though I can be an angry guy out there, it's different. I can't pitch where my heart rate's going 150, 160, 170. Yeah. You know, I like to be a little more calm, but I'm a starter by trade. I'm not a grip it and rip it max guy. But I was blown away. So before I signed, I watched Balfour pitch in the Intercontinental Cup for Australia, which is a World Cup. US, everyone was there, USA, all of them, and we won the gold medal that year. Right? We had a squad, and Balfour came in against Cuba and I've never seen a 100-mile-an-hour pitch before, man. But he was like 97, 98, 99, 100, just blowing them by these Cuban dudes. Just higher, and just, oh, dude. So that was like, man, I want to play with this dude one day. And then the next summer, I got to play when Dave Nielsen bought the Australian Baseball League and made this like international league kind of thing happen. I was on his team then as an 18-year-old and got to meet him. He was only like 21, maybe. And yeah, it was just so cool to be around those guys. Other guys like Chris Snelling were on that team. Like Chris Snelling. Oh, yeah. Chris Snelling might be the best hitter ever come out of Australia, and he was a very Pete Rose-style player. Like, he was very good. He hit over 300 every level he played. Got to the big leagues at 20 years of age as a hitter, as a young Aussie hitter. That doesn't never happen.
No.
That's how good he was. And then he was in ninth game in the big leagues. His knee blew out, one of 14 surgeries on his knees. He never got healthy, but he had almost 7 years of service time. That's how good he is. That teams would put him on their list even when he was hurt, pick him up when he was hurt because they know how good he was. And so playing with those dudes, man, that was just – I was lucky. The generations after me I don't think they get to play with so many good players like I did that were Australian born, that fed my want to do what they did, Like I want to follow them. So Balfour was the man, dude. And he really made it a good time for me, If I ever felt like in a spot, like he was always there, you know what I mean? You always had that guy. And his dad used to be like with an agency that I was with when I was like 17 before I signed. Like I knew his dad before that. So we kind of had history there. But no, it is, yeah, I would always have him on my team. Really good guy. Yeah. Fittest dude I've ever played with.
He's just ripped. I can't believe. And the funny thing about him is how pissed off the pitcher or the hitters would get that he was pitching against, because he would shout his obscenities into his glove, and they thought he was shouting at them or whatever, and they got pretty pissed off. But
he was a racehorse after it's got done running a race. Like his veins across his chest, his veins had veins. Like I've never seen a guy like this dude, man. He was so cut. He was so cut and so strong. Yeah, no wonder he threw so damn hard.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to get him on too. I'm going to try to get as many guys from the 2012 team on, just because it's the 10-year anniversary. I feel like you guys were, if there was a team of destiny, the way that season went, I just thought it was going to be you guys for sure. But the funny thing about it is the A's just recently lost their 9th game in a row yesterday. And they said
they won today.
Yeah, they won today, but they said on the broadcast, Glenn in Dallas, they said this is the first A's team to lose 9 in a row since the 2012 team. So I was like, oh, well, maybe we're not doing so bad after all. We'll get it turned around.
I wasn't even on the team when they lost 9. I remember that. I was still with the Giants, but no, that's nuts that's like that. But I mean, it's going to be tough for him this year. But I mean, I feel like the team I joined that weren't expected to do well had a few more weapons than the team they got right now.
For sure.
I can't imagine they can even win games with how much they lost from last year.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that they actually took some scalps early in the year from Tampa. Who are they? They played the Mets. Did they play the Mets? Who is it?
No, they played the Phillies.
And they won some games, right?
They won 1. They should have won 2, but yeah. It's been an interesting season for sure. I mean, I hope they can overperform. I know we were talking off the air about that, and you said you like the Mariners. Angels are off to a really hot start as well.
Well, I love the Angels too. It's so hard. I love the West because obviously I shouldn't go for these teams because I'm an A's fan, but I want to see Mike Trout win. I love Ohtani. I've watched him since I played in Japan against him. You know what I mean? Like I saw him real deal before he even touched the big league field, and he was nasty then. I think Mike Trout's my favorite player that I've ever. Like, I mean, I think he plays the game the right way. I think that when in a time of people just showing off, it's like this dude just puts his head down and runs when he hits the ball. Like he's done it so many times that this ain't no thing. You know what I mean? I think that's way more respectable than stopping up the line to take a selfie or doing some kind of Euro stepping into the bag and taking a football. Like I think that's tired trash. I think it's ruining the game. I don't like that whole genre coming in, but I'm a little old school about it.
I love it.
I don't. I think it's garbage. And then
I love your opinion.
Oh, well, maybe that says me. I'm a pitcher, and if I see that shit happening when I'm pitching, you know what?
Up and in.
I ain't gonna forget it. And if I miss, exactly. When I'm coming in, I'm not gonna try and hit someone deliberately unless they literally got to bring my mom into it for me to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
But
I love that too.
I don't think they can fine you anymore, Travis. You can say what you want to say.
No, I just think that I think that like this whole like look at me generation is kind of tired. I prefer. No wonder they're the worst hitting generation in the league in the entire world. What is it? The history of hitting.
Yeah, it's bad.
The game has gone to shit when it comes to that, and you got idiots running the thing, changing rules left, right, and center. It's barely recognizable game, and it's a shame because it's such a wonderful, amazing game. And at the grassroots here, we still teach it that way. We don't want none of that crap. We see kids showing off like that. They get the bench. You know what I mean? Like you've got to respect your opponent, but respect the game and respect yourself. You look like an idiot out there doing some of this stuff. And look at, anyway, it gets me fired up to where, I don't know.
No,
man.
I think you said it best, though. I mean, it's it's acting like you've been there before. I use Bill's favorite NFL player as an example, Barry Sanders. He'd score a touchdown and walk up to the ref and hand him the football and go back to the huddle. It's just my job. I miss seeing that with professional players for sure.
Dude, I know. It's so good. Like, that's why I like Ohtani. Ohtani doesn't show off, man. Like, that dude comes from a respect-driven game in Japan. They're all about respect. You know, you hit somebody and you bow to them, you know what I mean? Like, sorry. Now, I'm not gonna bow, because as a pitcher, I've always been taught that, like, I'm never gonna apologize. You know, and I don't want them to know that was a mistake. I want them having that little bit of an idea, maybe thinking I meant it. You know?
Hell yeah.
But I got to win those mind games. I didn't have a 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
That's true. Well, speaking on that subject, Dallas was looking for someone to give him a 94-mile-an-hour fastball to bean someone. You think you got one left in the tank at 94?
No. I played. Hey, get this. So I retired, right? But I did a pitching coach job with the Canberra Cavalry last year. And they wanted me to pitch. They were only exhibition games because ABL shut down due to COVID. And so I had to pitch. And would you believe it? I'm only a few months. This was only about 2 months ago. But, you know, I'm 39. I'll be 40 this year. And I hit 90 mile an hour again. Multiple times.
Nice.
That's impressive, Travis.
Oh. And I'm
How'd you feel after?
Actually, I felt great.
Good,
I don't hurt, man. I still pitch. You know, I teach pitching every day, so I don't have to do it. But I got 3 more sessions tonight that I'm going to do. So I think I'm a better pitcher now. I just wish I could. I wish I understood pitching like I do now.
For sure.
A view with what I had, because I think I could have thrown harder than I did. I mean, I was a 90 to 93 guy, kind of. I was more like an 88, 92 guy, but as the reliever with the Astros and you know, Rangers and that, I was more like a 91 to 94 guy. But I did hit 95 and I did hit 96. So I knew that there was a little bit of that in there. But if I could do it today, like, I know more about spin rate and more about, because I teach it now. Oh, man. I think that's the only reason I'm still able to hit 90 mile an hour at this age, because I understand how to do it now. You know, back then I didn't understand my mechanics back in the day. I just pitched. I just saw the glove, did what I did. And, you know, I understood more how to get a guy out dissecting them rather than how I was doing it with my body, how I was making it happen. So that was cool. But yeah, I'm still keeping my hand up in the air for the WBC next year.
There you go. Well, I hope you make it.
I wanted to finish in the Olympics, man, but our country's sporting authority decided that they didn't. When COVID broke out in Taiwan, where we were supposed to have our tournament, they moved it. We were the second-ranked team in the tournament at number 6. Instead of giving it to us, they sent it to Mexico. And so our team, all of a sudden, they had budgeted to go to Taiwan. It was going to cost them like double to go to Mexico, and they pulled out, and we never even had a chance. Right. Yeah. And the players didn't get a say in it. Like, that was made. Decisions were made by suits that didn't even play the game. Or if they did play the game, they've been out of the game so long they forgot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, you know, if these people are hearing this at all, which I doubt they are, but if they happen to hear this, yes, I'm talking about you. That I basically, you know, held on for years to play for that. Years. I would have retired much earlier and probably be financially in a better spot than I am. And I'd probably be in America. You know, I'd probably have a job and have my green card, but I kept playing in Mexico and all around the world. So that was all put on hold. And then COVID hit and I'm stuck here waiting for my green card for 4 years, for almost 3.5 years now. So it's been a stress just because I held on for that. So I'm thinking, you know, I still want to retire in green and gold. Like my last pitch ever, I want to throw it in green and gold. And then I'll never pitch again. Even though I can, I don't want to. I don't love it like I used to, but I tell you, it'll get my blood thumping again if I pitch for Australia in a game in this out of the pen for one hitter. I don't care. You don't need to start me, you know.
The loogie.
Yeah, coming into a Ryan Roland-Smith. He did the same thing back in the last one. You know, he hadn't played in a while, and he came out and he came in and got outs. You know, the experience speaks for itself. You can't you could take a kid that's got 95, but he's scared out there. Or you could take me, who's been there, and I'm not going to be in awe of the situation, and I'm gonna do what I can to get outs. And I don't know the numbers, but I don't think anyone's ever played for Australia and has the numbers I have, because every time I play for them, I bleed for them. You know what I mean? Like I don't think I've given up. I must have a 1 or lower ERA for them, maybe 40, 50 innings. Like I've thrown a ton, and I just hang zeros all day for them because I know our team's not the most potent offense.
Yep.
We win with our pitching, and I know that I'm not going to let this team down with that one last try, even at this age. So if they let me know I'm a chance, then I'll be working out again, trying to be ready because. That'd be fun. That'd be really cool.
That would be insane. And we would for sure be in your corner. But
big time.
Tell me about Bob Melvin.
Wow.
He was your first manager back with the Mariners and then again in Oakland. Is that correct?
Man, me and Bob have had some run-ins. Yeah. So No. There was a moment in my life where I wasn't sure how I felt about him. And then, I could imagine he probably wasn't a fan of me early on, right? We're talking pre-2012. So 2004, I get called up and Bob Melvin's my manager.
Yep.
I'm young. I'm 21 years old. I'm immature. I'm dumb. I'm making mistakes. I'm being late to, I'm just looking back, I'm an idiot. I'm looking back at me now and I'm like, you know what? I wish I had been a little better. And I can't imagine how he felt about me then. Probably wasn't a great feeling in his or a great taste in his mouth, so to speak, for me. And I didn't perform that well outside of my first 2 games. So then we reunited again in 2009. I was with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Okay.
And the worst thing ever could have happened. I'd actually had matured by this stage. I was a lot better, and after thanking him for another opportunity to make a team, when it turns daylight savings or whatever, and it changes and you get dropped back an hour. Well,
yep.
I woke up without my alarm, normal time because I'd been waking up at 4 a.m. or 5, whatever, every day. So I woke up and I realized, oh shit, I got another hour. So go back to sleep, and for some reason my phone did not wake me up. Wow. I get knocked on the door at 11:30 in the morning, and it's like one of the assistant GMs is at my door making sure I'm not dead. And I show up. It was embarrassing. I had to show up to the field. I got there at like 12. The boys are coming in off the field. And I had to go into his office, and he aired me out, like threatened to send me down, release me, and and at this stage, I know he hates me, right? And he has every right. He has every right to, man. But it wasn't because it was on freaking Tuesday or something. Like it wasn't even like I was out the night before. I was on my same regular schedule, keeping my nose clean, staying off the piss, and eating healthy. And it was just a bad, I was knackered from playing every day, man. Like being on the field every day and going in and trying to be the first to the field and the last to leave. I'm knackered. So I fell asleep, man. Sue me.
Were you scheduled to start that day?
No.
Oh,
it was
okay.
just a camp day. I didn't even think the games had started yet. It was early in the camp. So that probably didn't help my cause because, I got sent down after the WBC, like we mentioned before, this same spring. But, yeah, man. And he probably still has the thought of me from the 2004 Mariners, like being this young, dumb, immature kid. And then this is the next real big thing that come up between us, and it's not good. So then when I get to the A's, man, I was kind of shitting myself when I knew I was going up, and I knew I was going to Texas to meet the team, and I had to go and say what's up to, when I first get to the field, you got to go let the manager know you're there and say hi. And dude, that was kind of scary. I'm not going to lie, because now I know I've grown up. I'm almost 30. I've been pitching the shit out of the ball all year. And that's why at least he was cool with me, man. But he let me know straight up, hey man, this team, you ain't on this team yet. I don't know what you thinking, but it doesn't mean you can't make the team. If you pitch your ass off, you can make the team. And the biggest turning point, and even then, it was very I never really spoke to him. He was always the manager, and I never got to have a conversation. We're in Colorado, middle of the season. He had just been named as an all-star coach that day. And I was first one to the field, as usual. Well, I'm not. I was kind of one of the first 3 to the field every day. I was trying to be, especially on the road. And he's walking by me in the clubhouse. Hey, Black, how you doing? And I said, hey, man, hey, Bob, how you doing? Congratulations on your, I said congratulations. And he's like, huh? What do you mean? For what? And I was like, for all-star. Like, I don't know how. But anyway, later that day, Bob would always walk around the outfield during batting practice and speak to guys. But he'd never, ever stopped with me. He'd never come to me before. And I'd been there 2 months, man. Or not even 6 weeks. And today, I see him walking out, and he's tracking to me, man. He's tracking. I'm like, oh, all right. He's coming to me. All right. Getting ready. And, he just starts to tell me that, he's been really impressed with me this year, and that, like, he's obviously noticed that I've grown up since the last few times we've been around, and that I'm getting along with everybody on the team. Really, I'm really fitting in with the group. And he wanted to let me know that I didn't have to look over my shoulder anymore, that I'd made, like, that this team, I was on it now.
That is awesome.
That was really cool feeling to hear that, because for the whole career prior, it had always been looking over my shoulder, because you're never safe. That's the hardest thing to do, is stay in the big leagues. Getting there is easy compared to staying there. And so when that happened, it was just like, wow. And the funny thing was, I went out there and rewarded him, I think, with the next game where I just shoved against Texas. I'm pretty sure it was against Texas, against Darvish. I think I went 7 innings, 1 run in Texas, which I don't think all year a road pitcher went 7 innings for less than 2 runs.
No, that's impressive, because Texas, that old park, you touch the ball and it would go out.
Yeah, and I remember being in a jam with a runner on third. Gentry hit a freaking triple to lead off the inning, and I went through Young, Andrews, and Hamilton with a runner on third and left him stranded in a 1-run game. At the time, it was 1-0. And we only
Gentry was a stud.
Yeah.
That guy was always hitting the A's. Always.
Yeah, he was a tough out.
I hated that guy. Well, not personally, but
so
facing him.
That was just like one of the coolest moments in my career, because, I really, I get to play under Bob for most of my big league time. And I really think, and I had a few other managers down the road, and none of them have been like him. He's just been so even keeled, man. I don't know how you can just be so calm in such a big moment sometimes. But yeah, so I had a bit of a love-hate, I kind of hated him early on, and then that changed my mind on him altogether. And then, obviously the way we went that year, it was like, wow, this guy is legit. And I think he won manager of the year that year, didn't he? I think
so. Yeah. He won 3 with the A's, so that was probably one of them.
Because we just came out of nowhere that year, and yeah, Bob Melvin, man, haven't seen him, I don't think, since 2013. 13 maybe, when I was with the Astros or with the Rangers. Man,
it was absolutely heartbreaking losing him. I loved Mark Kotze. He was a former player with the A's. He might have even been on one of your teams, maybe.
No, I'm in his book.
Okay.
He freaking took me deep. Can you believe it? He's probably got 4 home runs in his whole career, and he got me. Guys, seriously, leading off the game when I was 21 years old, man, leading off the game in Oakland, hits a home run off me.
Yeah, Costa's a good guy. I'm sure he'll turn it around. But losing Bob Mel, he's been the stable piece in all of that constant turnover with the A's. So it was pretty tough seeing that he left for the Padres. But obviously, if I have a side team, I can't decide between the Mets and the Padres, because, Padres have Bob Melvin and Sean Manaea. And then I think aren't you friends with Sean Manaea?
Yeah. No, yeah. I like Sean. I like the Padres, but man, I can't like any team that Machado's on. I'm just not a fan of that guy. So
yeah, he had a little scuffle with you guys, yeah.
Yes, he did. More than one. He did. More than one. He threw his bat. He threw his bat at Donaldson or something, and while swinging, like a really bullshit ass swing where he wasn't even trying to hit the ball. He was just trying to throw his bat.
He literally just threw his bat. Yeah, I remember that.
And he's just a dog. He's just a dog of a player. Like he's one guy I'd like to shove a ball right in his ribs. Like I don't want to hit people deliberately, but that's one guy where if I got an opportunity to face him, forget trying to get him out, man. He's copping one. I don't care. Come see me on the mound, buddy. I don't like that guy. It's no secret.
He just made my day. I cannot stand him.
Oh, I hate him with a passion. He's not the only one. There's a few out there that I'm not a big fan of, but he's definitely probably top of the list. Him and Puig. Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of Puig either.
Puig was a big shit talker when he came up. I mean, to be fair, he was hitting the shit out of the ball for an entire season, but no, I like I said, I'm trying to decide between my side team in the National League of Padres or Mets, and obviously the Mets have Marte and Canna and who am I missing? Oh, Bassett.
Yeah. See, I stick to the Bay, man. I like Giants in the National League, but I know that's kind of sacrilege in the Bay.
Gross.
Right? Hey, man.
It's fine. It's fine.
Hey, like, here's the thing, man. We don't have a choice where we go, and they picked me up 3 times in my career. You know what I mean? Yeah. They traded for me. They signed me as a free agent twice. They gave me opportunities. Bobby Evans over there is one of the best guys I've come across in the front office of baseball in America, and I just really love the Giants. They got a great organization. They love their colors. You know what I mean? Like I like playing and I like the Bay Area. So what's there not to like? And
just tell me when you're done, and I'll rejoin.
God. One of my best mates in baseball to this day is Sergio Romo. Right, he was one of the best at my wedding.
Oh man, I love that guy.
Yeah, right. And how can you hate him? And he won me a World Series ring, man. Like that year that we almost won with the A's, and honestly still believe if we get through the Tigers, we get it. The Tigers were tough.
For sure.
Five gamer, that's tough to beat the Tigers.
Freaking Verlander, dude.
And how about the strike zone? I mean,
yeah, he
was getting the biggest strike zone in the world, man. I can't even believe it. And then he has to play in the World Series, and he wasn't getting those same calls and bitching about him. And I'm like, well, dude, this is the only game on today. There is no other baseball. Every baseball fan is watching this game. This umpire is not going to give you that.
Yep.
You know, that nobody was watching the A's final except for A's fans and Detroit fans. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So the umpire is getting away, giving him a 20-inch plate with like a 25-inch high strike zone. And it was just a joke. It was the worst umpiring performance I've ever seen.
Was it Joe West or Angel Hernandez? Because I had to have been one of those two. Or
I don't remember. I don't remember. I didn't know the names of many guys back then.
But the ones you did know, I'm sure, are the bad ones.
No, I really liked Tim McClellan. I thought he was really good.
Okay.
Big old guy, but he was really late with his strike calls. He got me a few times where I didn't want to show him up by starting to walk around the mound, but he'd actually called strike 3 already. But then he'd call it at like where the hitter could and the catcher could hear it, but I couldn't. And then all of a sudden he'd step back and do this. And so a few times, and I had to apologize one time because I started walking, stopped, took a reverse step, then realized he called it, then kept walking. And afterwards I walked up and like, man, sorry, I don't mean to stop there. I feel like they're giving me their strikes, which they are. You called them, but I'm getting thrown off by your timing on calling them.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to upset you, man. Like I'm pretty new in the big leagues here. I don't want to I don't need you against me too.
Right.
So
those hitters are good enough, right?
Yeah. And that was my first start was like that against Minnesota. But yeah, man. Angel Hernandez, I had him, and he was actually pretty good, man. Here's the thing, he's a bit of a pitcher's umpire, and he gives you a lot of shit that actually likes.
Well, I don't know, man. He's pretty hit and miss. He'll call him just all over the place. It's tough to say what he is, but
I just think when you're that bad and you can't accept that you're that bad, you know what I mean? Like when you can't go out and reason with an umpire, that's the worst. When they're right and you're wrong, no matter what, and they don't want to look like a mug out there, then they just get their back up. That's him right now. That's. You know, he's actually not good enough to be in the big leagues, but you gotta freaking fulfill the demographic, right? You gotta have a couple of all kind of got to have some from the Latin background, some from, they've got to have a bit of everything these days. They really do. And I don't know why there's no one that can take his spot because he's pretty trash. And I'm sure there's a guy that's a Latin umpire down in the minor leagues is better than him.
For sure.
He can kick his ass out. But that's what I honestly think it's about. They're only keeping him because of that, because it can't be for his ability because he's terrible.
Well, I think it's a lot like at least teaching in the United States, where once you're covered by the union, it's basically impossible to get you out. And I think that's 100% what it is. Because if you look at his grades game to game, I mean, he's always like in the 77% accuracy when the average is like 89%. So
that's a C, bro. That's a C. That's a C or a D. You ain't getting better than that.
But all right, so moving on from Bob Melvin, tell us about.
For a while, I told you this would go for a while, didn't I?
We do the same thing.
Hey, we'll keep you as long as you're willing to go, and if you need to go, I mean, just let us know and we'll cut you loose. But
no, I got nothing.
Walk us through the game 161. I mean, you already told us what happened before the game, but
so obviously that was a bit of a stressful week, just constantly not only having to hear Bob talk to the media, but the media talking to me.
Yeah,
they're coming up to me every game, between games, asking, and you know what? I have to give it to Susan.
Susan Slesser.
Yeah, she
was the best.
She is the best, and she made that a lot more tolerable for me. And there was others too. I forget their name. I will never forget Susan's name.
Probably Jane Lee at that time.
Oh yeah, Jane was amazing. But no, the blokes that were there, like there was a long-haired guy that was, well, he's long hair, but not much on top, but long out the back. Kind of.
I'm trying to think who else.
Hair. He with glasses, but yeah, like they were all pretty nice to me. But I think that's because I made myself available for them anytime that they were nice to me like that, because I would give them whatever they needed. And usually they laughed a lot because of my accent or maybe just the way I'll say things. But I
think it's because you're funny and the accent just makes it even better.
Well, they, were constantly asking me, what am I going to change about, to be better next time? And my answer would always be nothing.
Yep.
My game plan is my game plan, and my strengths are my strengths. And it didn't work out for me the other day, but I didn't execute that great. But if I execute, I know I can win because, I faced them 5 times this year, they've seen me a lot, sure, but I've seen them a lot. And here's the thing, rolling into that last game, we were on fire and they were frozen cold. They were ice block getting swept by the Angels of all teams at that year. And we had to get through the Mariners and then them. And man, wow, that was crazy. But yeah, going out there, as I said, warming up, throwing freaking gas in the bullpen, just where normally I'd be, staying smooth, but I was so locked in, man. And I've watched that game a few times back, and I didn't realize just how many balls I threw. Like, they were quite often. I wasn't in the best counts the whole game. Like, it wasn't like I was just killing them. I just made big pitches in those counts where they were ready to hit, Like, I found myself 2-2, 3-1, 2-1, 1-0 quite a bit, more than I was hoping. Kind of got screwed a couple of times. Not going to lie. In that 6th inning, when I lead off walked Andrews, when we just took the lead, that's some bullshit. I watched that play over and over. That ain't a ball, man. That's a fucking strike every day and twice on Sunday. That was absolutely a strike. He calls ball 4 to start the inning. Now I've got to face Josh Hamilton, and I luckily get him to smoke a ball off the mound, ricochets off to Drew, who runs onto the base and doubles off the runner. And I'm like, that's a payback for you fucking me that home plate right there. Like, I didn't even complain. Usually I couldn't handle that, man. Usually I'll let that get to me. And I mean, I made a really good pitch to Hamilton, but he's a very good, and he hit it back we doubled up fastball away, man. We hadn't done that maybe all year to him. And he hit it. He hit it. He ricocheted more towards shortstop. Now, Drew probably wouldn't have been able to return a double play for crying out loud. Like, anyway, he runs on, makes that double play. Hamilton's having like the worst series of his life, and it only got worse the next day.
Yes, it did.
But like, dude, and then Beltray comes up, who, he's also very tough out, and he hits quite a deep fly ball, not super deep, but like, maybe like 350 feet out to right center field, and Reddick runs and catches it on the grass just in front of the warning track. And I knew that was going to be it. I knew that sixth inning was it. He wasn't going to try and bribe me. He had Cook do little Balfour to run it up at the end, man. I knew 6 was my number. And 5 really was my number, but I was pitching so well that he let me go out for the 6th. And the fact that Bob let me go out and trusted me to go over the 6th was just, because I remember after that 5th inning, I'm kind of sitting on the bench. The top of the lineup's coming up. So it's Kinsler. I just got Kinsler out. So we were going Andrews and Hamilton. And I'm pretty sure that's the only reason I got to stay is because we had Hamilton. But also, I'm looking in the dugout. I'm trying to stay focused, and I'm like edge corner eyeing, side eyeing Melvin to see what the deal is. Are they going to come over and shake my hand? No. Okay, hitter's stepping up. Shit, they're not coming. I'm going. All right, lock it in. Lock it in, and this is it. Give it everything I got, man. And I think my velo in the last inning was a lot better. Like I was probably an 88, 90 guy, 91 maybe most of the game, and in that inning I was 92 pretty much the whole inning. 92, 93. So I was just starting to let it go for that inning and got through it. We went on to win. And then obviously the next day we know what happened. And man, talk about, because I didn't even get to have fun the night before. When everybody's doing the champagne because we became the wild card winner, I couldn't drink and have a crazy night because I had to pitch the next day. And I was hoping that the boys didn't get too wrecked. Because, and just be happy with the wild card. Some teams are just happy to be in there, you know what I mean? We had a chance to make history, or to, win the West from, 15 and a half games out when I joined the team.
Yep. It was an insane comeback. I mean, most people had written you guys off when you had come on, essentially. Yeah. And then, like I said, we had that 4-game stretch in New York where you guys swept the Yankees, and that was the turning point in the season. But
it must have been me, man. I'm the difference.
That's what it was. Bring you guys in bring you back in as the glue guy for the locker room there.
That's it, man. Just give me a locker next to Ricky.
There you go.
He's got his locker in there that he's rarely at, so I'll borrow it while he's gone.
What was I going to ask you? Oh, so that 162 game, and obviously we just lost Ray Fosse earlier in the year. Did you get to have much FaceTime with Ray? And what did you think of his iconic call when he said, "Wow," when you guys won that game in 162?
Yeah, Ray was awesome, man. Like, yeah. I mean, it's funny because I hadn't seen Ray in such a long time. And my real interactions were over that year and the next. Even when I was with the Astros or the Rangers, Ray always made time to come and see me, even over in the other locker room. He's just a really good guy. To be the guy, the caliber of player he was, too, and to be so humble, and just if anyone bled green and gold, it was that guy. So, he was special, man, and so it was really sad to hear about his passing. I didn't take that very well, even though my time with him was quite short. He made an impact. So
yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm an A's fan, so I've grown up my whole life listening to him and Glenn on the broadcast. So just when he stepped away, I knew something was wrong, and obviously we found out what happened. And yeah, I mean, still to this day, not hearing him in the broadcast booth, like it definitely hurts my heart. So I can't imagine you actually having some FaceTime with him and getting to shake those giant hands that he had.
Oh, dude, I was just about to say that, man. The biggest hands, well, not the biggest I've ever. Lee Smith had the biggest hands I've ever shook, man. I felt like I was like a 3-year-old boy shaking Lee Smith's hands. His shit swallowed mine. I couldn't even see my hand anymore. A baseball looked like a golf ball in that dude's hand. It was unreal. Anyway, but yeah, Fosse, not just big, but the pads on him.
Yep.
Have you ever had the pleasure to shake his hand? Like,
Well, I've seen him at spring training a time or two, but never got to meet him in person. So,
oh man, I'm telling you, man, it was like shaking a catcher's glove. Like it was puffy, big padded hands. Like I don't even know. It was like a bear mitt. I don't know. It was crazy. It's crazy, man. But yeah, hey, Ripper, dude. Just but it's definitely the game's going to miss him for sure. Like it already does. I already know that they miss him in Oakland. So
yeah.
But hey, Dallas could become that new guy.
I was going to ask you what you thought about DB being up in the booth.
I love Dallas, man. He's one of the most real, genuine dudes. He's just freaking him, man, and doesn't apologize for it, and doesn't. There's nothing to apologize anyway, in my opinion. But obviously there are so many snowflakes in the world these days. Somebody gets offended by everything. So but he's him. He doesn't care. But he's a really intelligent dude.
Yep.
Who understands the game on so many levels. Like I try to like. I like to think I'm in that kind of bracket. I'm a real big student of the game. I'm always learning. I'm always like, I try to use new school and old school in my teachings because I think old school has a lot to offer because that game is obviously going down a little bit. But Dallas is amazing. Dallas and man, that voice he's got a voice for radio, man. And a face for radio.
Yes, he does. Especially with that haircut, man.
I'm just playing, man. I love Dallas, man. But I hope he hears that, man. That'd be funny.
I'll tag him in it. Hopefully he does. I'm going to try to get him on too. I know he's got quite the busy schedule with the broadcast and all that. But
yeah, man, I don't even know how he does what he does, man. And I mean, I'm a big fan of his podcasts too. I listen to all of them. Him and Jared Carabas with their stuff, and he's everything he does, man. I wish I could do what he did, man. I'd love to try and do that for a season. That's something that I'm into is the broadcast side of it. I've done it here in Australia with the ABL, and the feedback I've gotten has been quite good because I give an insight that they just don't, in Australia at least, don't get from the guys in the booth. Just why a player is trying to do something like why is a pitcher pitching like this right now because the situation and explaining that and just being that kind of color guy. That sounds fun, but I mean, how can you compete with Dallas, dude? The guy's got the voice, he's got the energy, he's just a ripping dude, and he still has time. And every time I hit him up, he still hits me back. So, I think that's really cool too, because it hasn't happened with everybody, if you know what I mean. Like some people you still hit up, and they just, I don't know, they don't hit you back anymore. So,
yeah, no, Dallas is. I mean, I've never met him personally, but he seems like he is one of the all-time great dudes. And I also don't know how he keeps up with all the things that he does because he's a promotion guy for Canadips. And him and Carabas are doing their new Baseball is Dead podcast. They just stopped doing the starting nine. So
I haven't got onto that new one yet, man. I was still been finishing up all the starting nines because I got to the party late on starting nine. And I was doing the up-to-date ones, but in the off-season, I do all the old ones.
Yeah.
And it's crazy hearing some of the old ones when it's not even baseball season. But, man, they're really good at what they do, those guys.
Yeah, they definitely keep you entertained. And, I mean, they do like 2 hours, so it's pretty impressive that they can keep you plugged for that time. But we already talked a little bit about current – how baseball is being played, but what are your thoughts on what you're hearing about the current baseball in MLB and what you're seeing out there?
All right. I got a few things that I'm a bit annoyed about with baseball right now, and a lot of it is
Uncle Rob.
Yeah, well, we don't even need to talk about him. He's just in a spaz. I don't even know about him, but I don't know how he keeps his job, and I think it's the owners that keep him in there. Obviously, that they enjoy him because he's helping them more than he's
making the money. That's all it's about.
Yep. But aside from that, let's touch on the baseball today. Like I've never seen so many guys get drilled in the head.
Yep.
And we know that this isn't intentional, but there's a few factors. Obviously, you've taken sticky stuff away. Now, I'm not going to go and sit here and say that I never touched the stuff because I did. I used pine tar. But I didn't use that sticky stuff. I couldn't. I tried to once. I couldn't even throw it, not in a game. I tried to in a bullpen, and I couldn't even get it to the catcher on the full. I was bouncing it. It was so sticky. It's just too much. I couldn't do it. It's wrong, right? And it sounded like Velcro every time it left your hand, right? It's bad. But a little bit of sunscreen and rosin or a little bit of pine tar, and it was never for making the ball move more. In fact, I never noticed it like it would move more. It was because of baseball in America, in those big league games, they are slick, especially in the Bay Area at night. Like, it's freaking cold, man. And the ball feels slick. And yeah, just having that little bit of tack on your fingers gives you that confidence to be able to throw a strike. I remember my first game for the Giants when I got called up in 2012. I had to face Carlos Zambrano, my first hitter, right? And I went 3-0 on him, and the ball was just felt like it was a pool ball, like I was using a billiards ball. Like, I couldn't grab a grip on it. It was insane. So that dry, cold air is annoying, but they need to come up with something that's an approved substance. I don't care if they make and manufacture their own version that batters can agree on, but I think if you ask hitters, they would prefer that hitters have something. So the pitchers have something so that they don't have the fear of getting domed up in the back of their mind.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to hit a guy in the head. Nobody. I don't care who you are. I don't care how hungry you get. If you're someone that tries to hit somebody in the head, you should be in serious trouble. You should because you can end a life, not just end a career. You can end a life.
For sure.
You could take a father away from a child, you know what I mean? Like, or a husband away from a wife, and it's really dangerous. But that being said, like, the guys today, the pitchers today, aside from your superstars that can do both, most are throwers. They're not pitchers. They're throwers. They don't know how to pitch. They don't even know. They're overpowered with great fastballs and amazing stuff, but they throw bugger all strikes. Half the strikes they get are from swing and miss. Like, if a guy went up there and sat there with a bat on his shoulder, he could probably walk if he didn't even offer it a pitch.
Yep.
You know what I mean? At a much higher rate than he could have back in the day. They don't read swings. They don't pitch. Like, I see a guy blow a fastball by a guy and then throw a slider. Like, what the hell are you doing? He can't hit your fastball. Why are you slowing it down for him?
Yep.
Use your brain. No wonder you're hanging that slider and getting taken deep. Like, if you hung the slider in a different count, maybe you get away from it. But if you hung the slider when he's trying to catch up to your fastball, it's so bad. It's so bad watching some of these guys try and fumble their way through a lineup, and then they can't even throw 5 innings half the time. You know what I mean? Like, what happened to starting pitchers getting through 200 innings a year? We're going to see that less and less.
I was going to ask you about that. Do you think that's just because they're not having guys do it, or do you think it's because they're going for speed 100%?
Bit of both. I think that, like, who was it the other day that went 9? Who was it the other day that just threw a 9? Bueller threw a 9-inning game the other day, or he went half of the night.
Yeah, he did.
And they were carrying on. They were carrying on like he just about to throw a no-hitter. You know what I mean?
Because he pitched a complete game. Yeah.
And I mean, like, that's a great feat. I never got to do it. I never threw a complete game in the majors. I think it's still an amazing feat. I got 8 innings, and I only had 83 pitches, but that was that Dodger game against Kershaw. And Bob come up to me that game and said, "Hey, man, you've done more than we could have asked. I would hate for some shit to happen, and you get a loss out of this. So I'm going to take you out and give it to Cookie." And Cookie went out to a 0, then Sesame hit a grand slam, and we won. But, yeah, I mean, I understood why he took me out. He didn't want me to – if something happened there and I got a loss, then I might have taken that the wrong way mentally, you know what I mean? Which I know personally I wouldn't have, because I would have just been stoked I went 8+ innings. But
against Kershaw, one of the greatest to do it.
Yeah. And on that day in baseball, you know how back then they used to have the day, like, they would have the rankings of every player's, like, daily rank. I was number 1. I was the best that day in the whole MLB. You can't take it away. Number 1.
I love it.
Kershaw, number 2, and then all the hitters run.
Boom.
Yeah. Wear it,
I love it.
I think I have a screenshot of it on my phone somewhere that somebody took that and sent it to me, and because I didn't even understand that stuff back then. But man, that was crazy. But yeah, baseball's in a weird spot. Changing rules, lefties can't pick off anymore. That's massive for me. I would, pick off was one of my biggest weapons.
Yep.
And here's where it's unfair. A righty, yes, they've got to do a 90-degree turn to pick off, but they can generate power by doing the turn.
Yep.
You try and step back and throw flat-footed to first base that way. You can't. I mean, some guys can, but I feel like I'm going to throw my arm and it detach from my body and roll to first. Like, that's just a horrible way to do it, right? And why? Because you're trying to promote more stealing? They're not going to steal anyway. It's all about home runs. Nobody wants to get thrown out when you got power at the plate. So It's just the game's changed. Why are you going to ruin it for lefties, you know? Yeah, I hate that rule. And then flirting with taking the mound back 2 feet. What?
I've heard even 6.
Yeah. Nah, hell no, 6 feet. No way you could take it back 6 feet. All right. For our whole life, we've thrown the ball one way, one distance, right? Everything will be affected by this. Everything.
Oh, for sure.
Everything.
Everything.
You name it.
I was curious your opinion on this because I know you weren't, a blow-away fastball guy. And Dallas, he offered his opinion on it and basically said, if you move the mound back at all, I'm not a Major League Baseball pitcher. So is that kind of your feeling on that, or?
I don't agree with him on that. His changeup was disgusting, and
today's the anniversary of his perfect game, right?
Well, no, it was Mother's Day.
Oh no, yesterday. Yesterday.
Oh man, I forgot to hit him up about that. That would have been sick. Well, anyway, yeah. I feel like he still would have. I mean, he had great control. He was kind of had that Moyer control, but like with a bit more velocity than Moyer, and had a really good changeup. And he knew how to pitch, and he was a bulldog. You know what I mean? He had that he had what we like to say in Australia. He had that. I don't even know if I should say that word.
Say it.
It's a really bad word, man. It starts with C, and it's a really bad word. But he had that in him. You know, he had that in him, and it. It's that bulldog that doesn't quit, and that's why he still would have made it. He had what it took to be a big leaguer. That it factor that you can't quantify with numbers. That if you were a scout and you see a player with that, you know it. As someone who's played, you know those guys when you run across them. It's like they overachieve with, I'm not going to say he had mediocre stuff because his changeup was elite. But his other pitches were probably in the medium range when it came to average, just like me. I was pretty average, but my curveball was pretty sharp, it was pretty good. That would have been my elite pitch, So I think he would have made it, but I don't think it would even help hitters that much, honestly. It might help them catch up to a few fastballs, but they still can't hit the letter high shit because they're swinging up under it. It ain't gonna fix that. It's
launch angle, man.
Dude, launch angle's tired as fuck. You try and see. It is, man. And I don't.
No, it is. That's why everyone's hitting 230 for the entire league.
Why is everyone trying to hit like Josh Donaldson? The guy's like a 260 career hitter. Like, what are you doing? Like, he's a good player. He's good, and he can be great at times. Don't get me wrong. And I even like Donaldson, even though he can rub dudes the wrong way. He's got like a bit of an abrasive style of personality.
That's what I've heard. Heard he's a pretty rough teammate, but
well, I don't know. When we had Johnny Gomes on our team to keep him in check, you know what I mean? Like, he needed it every now and again. But I like Donaldson. I'm not trying to talk badly on him, but I'm just saying he's, everyone's got their own personality traits that some mesh well with others, and he was, up there. But why are we trying to copy that guy? He's clearly not even close to one of the best hitters that ever lived. Why aren't we taking more away from these pure hitters that we have, get to learn from and how they play? Look at Mike Trout. Is he hitting up on the ball? Dude is an absolute gun. He's going to be one of the top 5 all-time right-handed hitters of the game. You know what I mean? Probably already is top 5 all time. And I really think he's the best all-round player ever. My personal belief, and from every way that you can look at the game, offense, defense, stealing, like just everything you could do amazing in this game, he is elite at everything. He's your 5-tool guy, and then he's on top of it. He's got this. He plays the right way. He doesn't fuck around. He is just elite. He's elite. There's nothing better than him, in my opinion. And definitely the best I've ever faced. So, when he gets, if he ever gets to like that 600 club, or say he goes off even higher, I can say I I was in amongst them boys. You know what I mean? I'm one of them boys.
You contributed to that.
Oh yeah.
Just once, but he got me. That's the only hit. That's the only hit to go with me. And I mean, he's in my book plenty. I got struck him out a few times. Yeah. But it's so cool, like showing my kids here that I work out with, like, hey man, this is a video of me, and this is what you could be one day, and always show them my trout, because that to them is the most impressive.
Yep.
And because guys like me here in Australia love trout, we talk him up. You know, we talk him up to all of our kids because we want that style of player in our kids down here. We don't want them showing off like Tatis. Like, don't get me wrong, Tatis is an amazing ball player. I played against his dad, man. I mean, that's how old I feel. But hey, you want to hear something crazy? I played with Eric Young Jr. and the first dude I faced in the big leagues is Eric Young Sr.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I played against his dad, man. He was a teammate of mine in Mexico. So anyway, off that again. But yeah, he's just the best going around. But well, I don't know. I kind of veer off here and there, man. It's ADD.
It's all right, man.
We're here for it.
We're mostly on track, so we're all good here.
Nice. Yeah.
All right. So I think, is it safe to say that Trout is your favorite player in Major League Baseball?
100%. Although Ohtani is sniffing it, man. Ohtani's unreal. He's just a freak. Yeah, he's so damn good. Watching a guy to be that elite on both sides of the ball, not just good. Like, Madison Bumgarner is a good hitter. You know what I mean? If you gave him a bat for 500 at-bats a year, he'd probably still hit like 240, 250 and drop 25 tanks. Like, you could put him a DH for Cincinnati probably, and he would go all right. You know, you could put like Micah Owings with a bat in his hand, and he'd probably drop that. But this dude is not just like, he is freaking insane, man. And he's a specimen, and doesn't even speak the language. Well, he could probably speak a decent English now, but you know, not being his first language, staying in, and all the hype, man, just to put up with that and still be elite. Yeah. And in LA, you know what I mean? Keeping the Angels relevant while the Dodgers are doing their thing is crazy good.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, Trout's been doing it and keeping it, and then, you know, Pujols, well, that was probably a horrible signing for them. I disagree with that signing for them, because that really put him in a hole. That one and Josh Hamilton really put him in a hole. For years,
those were two rough signings.
Yeah. They couldn't get any pitching because they didn't have the money, because they'd already invested it in two dudes that weren't even playing for him or weren't even.
Well, and then Justin Upton too. I mean, they got him at the tail end of his career for a lot of money.
Here's the thing: Upton probably gave more than their other two. You know, I mean, Upton was at least, you know,
for sure.
Upton's a really good dude. I can't hate on him. I like him a lot. He was a good teammate and a fun dude. So, you know,
it's just frustrating seeing him getting paid $28 million to not play for the Angels when the A's total payroll is like 35.
Man, you can't even tell me about that. You know how many times I look to my right and see a guy making this much money and be like, dude, there's no way you're $20 million better than me this year. Like, yeah, you're better than me, but you're not $20 million better. Like, what the
maybe we just split it.
Yeah, we're not even split it, man. But I just want to know, where's my piece? Like, I never got a piece.
For sure.
You know? I never got to go to arbitration. I got, you know, the issue with me is when I was up for arbitration, I had to be tried as a starter, and I don't think teams wanted to pay me like a starter. I never got the option to tell them, dude, I don't care, pay me. I'll take this. I don't need that. I just want security and some money. Like, I want security. Give me what you know, instead of paying me $3 million a year, pay me $3 million over 2 years. I'd be happy with that. And it's security for 2 years. I don't have to worry about where my paycheck's coming from for 2 years, which in my career never happened, dude. I was on a different team every year. Yep. After the Mariners in 2007, I was with a new team every single year. I didn't get security every off season. I had to go to Mexico and play my way into a new contract. And so that was really hard on me, man, mentally too, because sometimes you weren't playing good, and then the stress of not having a job yet, you know, really could play on your mind. And yeah, it's tough. But I would always get non-tendered, man. They would never want to take me because they know they'd lose. They know they'd lose because, you know, 90% of my innings were as a starter. And, you know, you have to pay me like I don't care if you pay me like the worst fifth starter in the big leagues. You know, I would have I wanted to be in the big leagues, and I wanted security. So you could have been able to tell me, you know, you could have got me for way better, but the union wouldn't allow that either, because then I'd take down the money for the next guy.
Right.
Sucks as well, which they don't look after the guy like me. And that's what a lot of this bullshit was to do when they were striking kind of thing. It's kind of more to look after the guy like me. Not so much to me, more like the 6-year free agent that's already paid. But yeah, the guy that is a free agent that was getting overlooked for a $500,000 call up. So, you just have to look. I was the 18,000th the 18,096th player to make the big leagues in 2004. 200 odd years of baseball, and the 20,000th happened in the COVID year. So that means, just think about how many people have been called up, that probably would never got called up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, because they just were, a Band-Aid at the time, I guess.
Yeah.
A lot of cup of coffees walking around, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Do you think those rule changes that they've made, at least in terms of the call-ups where you can't send a guy up and down 5 times or more than 5 times in a season, do you think that's a net positive?
Is that true? I didn't know that.
Yeah. No, they just did that for this new CBA. You can't do the whole thing where they're shuttling the whole season.
I like that, but it's not so much it's for the fact of moving up and down is really hard. It's hard on you and your family, moving out of towns, having to get a place to live. It's just a pain in the ass.
Well, and it happened to one of your teammates, Adam Rosales. Yeah, he went back and forth between the A's and the Rangers, I think 6 times in the same season, just through waiver claims. So
that's insane. But man, the one rule that I agree that I really like, and I wish they brought this sucker in before when I was playing, because I may have had a much longer career, right? I wasn't generally a lefty guy, although the Astros made me a guy like that for a bit. But I was better at getting righties out than lefties, overall. But so I was never looked at as a lefty guy to come in and be that one, get one out, and that's it. But that whole face 3 hitters rule is amazing. That would have helped me so much more, because I got lefties out pretty good. I want to say around the 220 mark, 230 mark, but that's not as good enough to be a reliever, like a lefty guy. You got to be under 200, like a 180 guy, 190 guy. So I could never lock down that spot. But then I wasn't good enough. Well, I thought I was good enough, but the teams never thought I was good enough to be a starter. So where am I fitting? And then a long reliever, there's, some teams didn't adopt a long reliever. So, that might have helped my career a lot more, where guys that could only get lefties out, that couldn't get righties out, would never have got a chance, or may have got a chance but not stuck because they couldn't get a righty out.
Yeah.
It sucks that couldn't have been earlier, because I really think my career could have been a lot different, not just financially, but just my time, my would have been a lot better for me.
Okay. And then, do you still have your gold A's jersey?
My yellow one, the yellow one. Yeah. I would never give that one away. Come on.
Do you think they should go back to those? Because they have the Kelly Green alts. Do you like the yellow ones or the Kelly Green more?
The A's uniform is unmatched by any other squad. There's the best color scheme. It's the best. It just looks clean. It's like classic, but it's really good at the same time. Like really good vibe. The Kelly Green's sweet. I wasn't a huge fan of those darker green ones we had that year. I mean,
they're the same ones.
Them. Yeah,
they were basically the same as the gold ones, right? Just flipped.
No, the gold one had just an A on the chest. The the green one, I believe, had athletics.
It probably said Oakland or A's. One of the two.
Athletics across the chest, because the gray one had Oakland written on it.
Okay, yeah, because that's the red one.
And the white one had Athletics. So, yeah, I mean, unmatched. I like them, and I like Pittsburgh when it comes to uniforms. I like yellow.
And Kyle's a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, so.
Oh, you are? I like the Pirates too, man. I mean, low-key had one of their scouts here in Australia tell me if I get to America that he would he thinks he could hook me up with a job there. He thinks I'd be perfect for their organization. So I'd love to.
We'll get back over.
I'd be in your corner. we need all the help we can get.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I could almost pitch for you guys right now.
I'm pretty sure you could.
No. You guys aren't that bad. Last I looked, you were like middle of the pack. right?
No, our relievers have been amazing all year.
Good.
We just got to get some starters that can go past 5 innings. I mean, we're lucky if we hit 5 at this point. But we got a lot of young guys.
Good. Well, good. That's yeah. I mean,
I'm glad you said that. I was going to say the Oakland unis are my second favorite.
Yeah.
The old 70s unis. There's nothing better than the old Pittsburgh unis, man. I love them.
Amazing. I think they're amazing. And I play a little bit of MLB The Show, so I've been checking out some of these unis when I've been earning them through the.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, and then I think we've taken up enough of your time. So I know you said you don't really want to plug any of your socials or anything like that, but if you get back into Twitch streaming, where can people find you?
Yeah, it's I believe it's twitch.com/Third Strike DTD, but it's with the number 3. So 3RD Strike DTD.
Perfect.
So that's my Twitch right now, but it should be kicking off here again pretty soon, and I'll predominantly play MLB The Show. And pretty much my idea is, that somebody can come in and watch. And I'm not the best player, but you can ask me anything. Like as you know, guys have seen, I'm pretty honest and open about whatever, and I've got heaps of stories to tell. And on Twitch, I wouldn't hold back. You know what I mean? Unless it's unless it's going to put someone in a bad light. Like I'm not going to dog anyone for anything they did silly in the past. Like I wouldn't want them to do that for me, but. Be pretty cool. And as it is with Major Mangoes, I've been in on his stream chats. I've been talking with the guys in his stream. I've even been live on his stream playing MLB The Show for the first time on his stream. I actually took a dude deep in a live match. I'd never played the game before, and the first at bat I hit a home run. And then my next at bat, I hit my first 2 at bats, 8 home runs off a live player. I hope that guy's watching because you're trash. I'd never played before, bro. Never. And he thought it was the best. And so that's what got me into start playing.
That's fantastic. Well, if you need someone to practice on, like I said, I don't get to play much anymore these days, but if you need to look real good, I'm sure I could make you do that. So
that's funny.
And then I guess one last question that I wanted to ask you is just about your old teammate. You mentioned him, Johnny Gomes. Did you see that he's playing for the Savannah Bananas?
And that I almost went to play for the Savannah Bananas. Burnsy hit me up
about it. Most exciting team out there.
Burns. I forgot he's on there too.
Yeah, Burnsy hit me up about it, and I wanted to make it happen, but I just think he hit me too close to the season. I can't get into America right now without a visa because I'm crazy immigration crap that happened years ago when I was with the Tigers that basically, you have a work visa. I got released by the Tigers. I went to Mexico. I came back from Mexico, and that visa was still good for the whole year. I handed it to the guy, and he didn't say anything, man. He just stamped me in, have a good trip. Said nothing. A few months later, I go on a holiday to the Bahamas, right around just before that hurricane hit Puerto Rico, right around then. And they wouldn't let me back into America because he put me in on that ESTA 90-day visa, and I was there 143 days. Had no idea. I would have left and come back. Like if I had known, I would have gone to Canada and come back in again, or gone to Mexico and come back in on the 90 day. But I overstayed. I can never go on a holiday to America again. The only way I'm getting in is with a visa, a work visa. That's why I can't see my family right now. It's horrible. Actually haven't seen my family since December 10th. They were out here for 14 months, and before that, I hadn't seen them for about 16 months during COVID.
Jeez.
I didn't meet my daughter till she was 6 months old because of this. So it's just been the biggest hassle. My kids have grown up without a dad for half their lives. So it's tough. And, I've just been trying to find a job like crazy that will get me a work visa. So if anyone out there has any kind of job, you want a private pitching instructor, just give me a bit. Colleges, I mean, I have an opportunity right now, but it's kind of in the air. Like a dude hit me up about some college in Ventura, being a pitching coach. And I'm down. The only problem is I have to be vaccinated, which I'm not. Which I don't want to be. My wife and I want to still have more children. It's whether that thing works or not, that's your own opinion. It's not about that. It's about it's unproven and we don't know what to do. And my wife and I want another child, and we don't want to risk the health of that child with something like this because, But so that's holding me out of America right now, pretty much, which is in waiting for it to end, hopefully. But yeah, so if anyone has a job offer out there, let me know. Would love to do. I want to get into NCAA pitching coaching, but I'll start anywhere really, and as long as it gets me over there and I can afford to live, live there, then I'm in. Preferably in Idaho, where my family is, or nearby, so that's close. I even hit the Boise Hawks, man. The Boise Hawks. I'd never heard back. There you go. I never heard back. And I got a buddy on their team, a kid I used to coach, who's from Brentwood, California, where I lived when I was in California. And he's there, and he said he's going to hit him up about it and ask him.
Well, we're close. We're both close to Idaho, so hopefully we can find a connection for you and get you back home to be with your family. Because I can't imagine being away from my kids for that long. That would be crushing. So
yeah,
but like I said, thank you so much. We truly appreciate all the time you spent with us. You went above and beyond with all your stories, and we'd love to have you back on at some point, and hopefully when you're here in America, and if that ever happens, hopefully sooner than later, love to buy you a beer on the stateside.
Oh man,
absolutely.
I guess I can have an American beer. No, there's good ones. I actually really like that one, Lagunitas, Little Something. Little Something's a badass beer, man. It's like an 8%er, but it's real good.
There's a few down here that
we got a couple high percenters that are pretty delicious.
Yeah,
I'm a crafty man. I like the craft beers for sure.
You almost have to anymore.
Well, we're both from Wyoming, and if you know one thing about Wyoming, in heaven there is no beer, so that's why we drink it here.
I've never been to Wyoming. I've always wanted to. They got some black sand golf course out there apparently that I want to try real bad. It's like got a pirate ship or something stuck in the middle of the fairway, or a boat, like an old looking boat that's like worn away and it's half sunken in the ground and the fairway goes right past it. I don't know. I don't know exactly. I've seen pictures of it before. I think it's Wyoming. Pretty sure, not Montana. I think it's Wyoming.
That might be South Dakota because they got a lot of black sands, but
maybe it is there. I have no idea. But the whole area, I've never really been. I never played in those areas. Those states I've never touched.
You can skip South Dakota, North Dakota. Just go to Wyoming.
Yeah, and Montana's supposed to be awesome too, right?
Montana's awesome as well. Just make sure if you go there, you do it in the summer because you don't want to be there in the winter.
I don't like snow. Oh, I like snow. I don't like rain that much, but I hate the cold. I mean, I've been my first son in Wichita, Kansas. He was born on the coldest day in Kansas in like 50 years, and it was like crazy storm, and it was negative 43 degrees. And
that's good stuff.
That's your Wyoming winter right there. So,
dude, how do you do it?
You don't. That's why I moved.
Well, hey, what am I in for in Idaho? Because we're like north of.
It's very similar. Yeah, it depends. Similar. Depends what time or what part of the state you're in. If you're in the northern Idaho, you're going to freeze your nuts off for sure.
We're out of Boise, but like not much out, like 30 minutes out.
Oh yeah, you're good. Then it won't be too crazy.
Yeah, we're like the last area. You like there ain't no houses past where we're at or where I've never been there. I've never been there. My wife's living there, but there's nothing but like open stuff and then mountains. Like there's no one living behind us, if that's what I mean.
Yeah, that's
coyotes everywhere. You can hear them every night. Kind of freaks my wife out, but yeah, it's.
Well, that's why you get your sharpshooter right there.
Yeah, I know. I've only ever shot one gun in my life, and the guy did me dirty. He gave me one of the biggest shotgun slugs you could, and it blew my arm out. I had no idea what I was in for, man. And I dropped the gun, and he was pissed at me for dropping it. I'm like, motherfucker, you got to let me know. You got to warn a brother about that.
You come to Wyoming and we'll change that.
Yeah,
dude, I'd love to shoot some guns, man.
Whole arsenal for you.
We've got a few, so make your way that way, and I'll meet you there with Kyle, and we'll show you a good time then.
Oh yeah, I know. My brother-in-law's got a stack of guns. He's a fireman, and they live out there with us in that same area. Nice. So, but yeah, I've never really shot many guns before, man. Just once in Texas. Never shot a handgun. Nothing.
A good time.
Yeah. So
all right, man. We'll let you get back to your pitching instruction, and Do you think that's something you might start doing online, possibly some online courses, or?
I don't know. It's weird, man, because everyone in this space, right? The one thing about this space is everyone likes to think they know the end all way and the only way to do it. You know, and in an age where everyone's trying to throw as hard as they can, I don't teach that. I teach younger kids. I'm trying to get them to throw 100, man. I'm trying to teach them to throw in a way that's going to be safe and effective for their arm and is going to allow them to throw strikes. Basically like I pitch, you know what I mean? I don't teach them my way. I don't cookie cut. I want them to have their own individual traits that makes them them. You know what I mean? I want to make everyone look the same. But the building blocks are the same. They need to obviously land with their front foot before they throw. Otherwise, this is going to end up bad for them. So, just things like that. And then I really try and get into their head with the mental stuff and try and build their confidence and let them know that, hey, the best hitters in the world that have ever lived failed 70% of the time they went up to the bat. So we're going to win 70%, man. You got to understand, you take those odds in Vegas. So attack the zone. Attack the zone. Yeah. I don't care who you're facing. Now there are situations where you pitch around guys, where you have an open base and a big boy comes up and he's a righty and you're a lefty, and you're a lefty on deck. There's different ways you got to do it. That's called game management and trying to fumble your way through a lineup for the least amount of damage. But first and foremost, have confidence and throw strikes because we can't defend a walk. We can't defend walks. So, give yourself a chance. You're only shooting yourself in the foot. And so that's what I try and preach here. And I've worked with a couple of college age kids about to go to college right now, actually in August. But mainly I've got these younger kids and I can't wait to see what they turn into, man. This is unreal. I've never seen this kind of talent for that age. But it's awesome. I just want to help the kids. I feel like being a minor league pitching coach, I wouldn't get that. From what I've heard from friends that have done it, it's like you can't even touch them. You can't even help them. You got to ask before you can make a change. You know what I mean? Yeah. They kind of want them to either sink or swim. It's like, well, hey, if they ain't got it, they ain't got it, and then they ain't get. It culls the herd, But yeah. So
you think you'll get a better opportunity to help build those guys up if you were to do so in a college program?
Yeah, I mean, at least be able to attack what needs to be changed before they make it to Pro Bowl.
There you go.
Right.
And give them that mental mindset of how to pitch, man. I'm going to be big on the mental side of it because for someone like me to do as what I did, you had to be mentally strong because, I got up at such a young age, at 21 years of age, and being so immature at that time and going through the failure and then having a huge time without getting called up, like years before I got back up my second time. And then years again before I got up again. Yeah. So, I mean, I had to go through it, man. I could talk forever about some of the crap I went through, but the mental side of it is so big. And I always tell my kids, you're going to lose more games with your head than you'll win with your arm. And that's 100% fact. The best pitchers in the world, they have this and they control the game with this. It doesn't matter about this, man. It really doesn't. You don't need 100 mile an hour to win. You need to be able to locate and you need to be able to be mentally better than the other guy, not give in and make those big game pitches, So I'd love to be able to instill that in some young, 18, 19-year-old lads before they go to D1, or maybe I get them in D1 and if I become a D1 pitching coach and become that kind of pitching coach where my pitchers go on to be good so that kids want to come to my school because they want to work with me because they see what I've been able to do with other guys, you know what I mean? And I really think that's a good goal to have. And, I used to want to be a big league pitching coach, that would be awesome. That'll be awesome. And, I never got one of them gold cards. I played 19 professional seasons and I never got a gold card. I only got 4 years of time. So I never got that, I want to finish it off, maybe get a couple of years late and get that card so I can go see it whenever I want.
Hell yeah.
Well, and the main reason I was asking if you're going to plan on doing any of that stuff online is kind of selfishly because I have one of the kids that you met earlier, my middle child, he's a lefty and he's just all about baseball. So I teach him everything that I can. And, I used to coach quite a bit. I'm probably going to plan on coaching him up quite a bit as well. I used to pitch a lot, obviously only up until high school. And now that I know, kind of like what you said, now that I know the things that I do know, I wish I would have known that back then, because I wouldn't have went out with my arm basically hanging on by a thread to pitch in the high school state championship thing and end up hurting myself more than I should have. But again, selfishly, I'd like to have him a resource where, I can, someone that knows what they're actually talking about and have that to lean on. So
that's it. If I get back to Boise, if I ever got that Hawks job, man, that would be sweet, because I could do some private stuff while I'm there and do that. But I don't think Boise has anyone that played in the big leagues that was a pitcher. I know Brandon Barnes lives there, the outfielder. I'm pretty sure that actually Gold Country Breakfast Mate lives down the road. He lives down the road in Idaho, but not in Boise. I think Idaho Falls, maybe.
Maybe Colonel. Pocatello.
Yeah, maybe there. I don't know. I just think he's from Idaho. And then Christian Colonel's from Idaho. He was a Rocky. I don't know. There's been a couple, but there's no pitchers.
No.
So there might be some ex-minor league guys there. In fact, there is. There's one I played with my first year, Ramon Royce. He's there. But, I mean, I think the market's there to be able to, get in and immediately get some work, you know what I mean? Whereas California, Florida, it's a bit saturated. There's so many coaches. Arizona, so many coaches, it's hard to get in. But, yeah, it'd be cool to do that and just – give back a little bit and see what I could do, and I think I got something to drive, no matter how crappy life can be right now, because I can't be with my family, and it sucks when I'm not, but when I'm at the field working with these kids, I ain't thinking about that anymore. I'm in a good space where I'm keeping busy and keeping happy, and, it's fulfilling to watch them. And I know I've been on here a long time, but I got one more story, and this kid kind of changed my outlook on it, right? I got this boy last year. I'd worked with him for about 14 months now, and he'd been playing for maybe 6 months when I got him. He's 14 years old when I got him, so he's a little late to start, right? And an awkward kid, like a little kid. Put it this way, he's the kid on your team that never opens his mouth. He's real quiet, lovely boy, wears his pants up to his belly button, like really high belts kind of kid. Just the kid that you put in right field because you don't know what you got. And he's the hardest working kid I've ever worked with. He made his first rep team in the senior league the other day, and that drove him to come with me to this club and play senior baseball for the first time against men. It's just a beer league, but there's even women and men mixed in, but he's in the lowest grade. He's only a kid, he's little, but watching him pitch the other day and getting his first hit against the boys, against the seniors, oh man, it took me full circle, and super proud of him. He's done really well. He's not like some of my other kids that are in the state programs. This kid is seriously made from scratch, and still a little bit awkward, and he's still a little bit small and weak, but he'll grow and he'll get stronger. And I'm excited to just help him get to college, because you know what, anything can happen once you get there.
Oh yeah.
And if he can get there, and he's still 4 years till he can go to college. So that's a long time for him to get better. And I really think he will. And I mean, that's when I was talking about watching kids fall in love with the game. That's the kid I was really referring to when I was talking about it. And I'm actually working with him this evening, so I'm looking forward to that. So
excellent.
We love that. And like I said, always been a fan of yours, especially since since 2012. When you were on the A's, always been rooting for you, and it's great to see that you're still giving back and doing what you can in the sport that you love. So, again, thank you for joining us. 2 hours, that's insane.
I told you I can talk, man. I warned you.
Love it.
And it doesn't even feel like it. It's just a conversation. It's not a job. It's just having a chin wag and a bit of a yarn. And I never had an issue speaking, always people give me shit about it, but you know what? Fuck changing for them,
Yeah.
I love it.
No, and I think you absolutely have a future in broadcasting or whatever it is that you want to do involving baseball. So
well, thanks.
Thank you again, Blackley. And for those of you that are new to seeing him, go watch that game 161, because that was absolutely inspiring shit for sure.
Yeah, you'll see parts of me. I've watched the clips of that, the highlights, and you can see the nerves on my face. You can see how much you can tell. I'm like a kid you pluck out of the stands and put on the mound. Like I wanted it, just like they
Yep.
would have.
Yep.
Because I hadn't reached the caliber of superstar. You know what I mean? It was just, to me, that was a dream, and I'll cherish that day forever. That moment, it was cool.
For sure. And we as A's fans definitely appreciate all that you did for us in that 1 year. I mean, if I could buy a Blackley jersey right now in that yellow, that's what I would do. So,
Man, I know. I wish you could. I've had people like these kids, their parents ask, "Hey, I want to get a jersey for our son, with your name," and they're blown away that you can't get one made.
yep.
They won't even make them. It's so weird right now.
Yeah, I mean, you could do the custom ones, and maybe that's the route I'll have to go. But
No, like they tried to do that, and because they wanted the same number and that name,
they won't do it.
They won't allow it.
Insane.
Like it happened a few years ago, and I managed to get one because Voos hooked me up. But
Voos is the man. Can you believe he retired?
No, I can't believe it, man. Longest serving A in history, and
yeah, he was there since their inaugural season in Oakland. Just retired after the spring training. So
I could see Dallas being that guy one day. I could see not a clubhouse manager, but like a lifelong A to where, we're talking about him as a 50 years with the A's kind of guy.
Absolutely.
The next spray.
Yeah. And that's you can't hate, man. He's such a ripping dude. But all right, cool. All right, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
It was
Thanks,
a pleasure, man. Thank you.
I'm gonna go eat some lunch.
Yeah. All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
All right, cheers.